Hey, welcome to Bears Banner. My name is Bernard Muhammad. Tonight, we have a special guest, Byron B. Dub Williams.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
We got Guy Moore and Jay Beasley. Keith Floyd, Noah, and Tammy won't be able to make it tonight. Hey, what's going on tonight?
What's up, hey. Thanks for calling me, man. I'm glad to be on the show.
Oh, yeah. Hey, B-Dub.
Welcome to the show, bro. Welcome to the show.
Hey, B-Dub, real quick, do you have any information on the golf outing? Get that out the way before we forget.
Yeah, so it'll be that Friday. I got to look that date up. It'll be the Friday, Juneteenth weekend. Every year is Juneteenth weekend. And so Epsilon Beta Foundation, we host a golf outing at George Dunn National Golf Course.
That's what I saw you.
We tee off at around 8 o'clock, and it's for scholarships for students going to college. So I can send you some information so you can plug it again. I appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah, and also for those who have high school seniors, if you're out here watching the program, also the application is at that website, www.Epsilon Beta Foundation for graduating seniors. The application is due March 30. Several seniors will be getting $1,000 scholarships. All right.
That's why, you know what? That's why I say, because I was there last year. I golfed last year out there at George Dunn. We was like last minute fill-ins. I don't remember what I shot, but I drank a lot.
Hey, Jay and Guy and Byron, we got a lot to go over tonight. I know we got the Super Bowl, and there's a lot of talk nationally. First, it was just locally about trading Justin Fields. Did y'all want to go over the Super Bowl a little bit first? Because I know the Jay Fields talk may last a little longer.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Okay. Anything from the Super Bowl y'all want to go over? I mean, I know some people were talking about the ending. I thought that was a heck of a Super Bowl. It was. I mean, it was very competitive. It came down to the wire. Both quarterbacks played their butt off. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better game. And hey, sometimes the endings are not always, what you want them to be. But hey, you can't hold a guy at the end. I mean, I had the Eagles, but that was clearly a holding.
It was a great game. I enjoyed every minute of it. It lived up to what I was hoping for. Jalen Hurts, y'all know that's my guy. He lights out. He played lights out, man. This dude passed 80% completion, 300 plus yards, three rushing TDs, one passing TD. He was gonna win. He was definitely gonna be the MVP had they won that game. The only problem that I have, was it a hole? Did Bradbury hole? Absolutely. But guess what? If you go back and watch that entire game, it was a lot of that going on. And my thing is with the refs, y'all human, but all I want is consistency. Right. That's all I want. And if you don't call it in the second quarter, don't call it in the fourth quarter with a minute and some change left. To me, the refs actually decided that game on a call that was it a hole? Yes, it was. But they had been hand fighting the entire game on both sides, on the Chiefs side and the Eagles side. And it's one of those things that at a crucial time of the game, the refs decided to take the flag and throw it. I just want consistency.
You know what? And I know it's football, but I have something called the Dick Bavetta rule. And if you guys are familiar with basketball, Dick Bavetta, and God rest his soul, he passed away some time ago. He was the guy that the players love to have referee. If they kind of screwed up, he'll pull them off to the side. You'd be mad, and he'd talk to you. But when 2 minutes came, unless you straight up maim somebody, he was going to swallow the whistle. I had no horse in the race. I had the Eagles to win, but and they didn't call none of that stuff. And then at the end, but the people that really need to be blamed is the Eagles defense, man. Y'all's the number one defense. Y'all was doing your thing in the first half. Y'all went flat. They went straight pedestrian in the second half. I think after that first drive when Kansas City went, they like, look, we got to lock in because They just kept smashing them, and just how it goes at the very end, the ref decided he wanted to blow a whistle, went against you, and a lot of them are mad about that. But really, to be quite frank with you, if anybody should be mad, the defense should be mad at themselves for being the number one defense and at the end going flat.
And not only at the end, just in the second half completely.
The second half completely, yes. No,
just think. The Eagles had 4 possessions in the second half. They scored 3 touchdowns in the field goal. The Eagles led the NFL in sacks during the season. How many sacks did they get?
Zero.
But at the same time, I'm still gonna say, Andy Reid, he made some adjustments. He made some adjustments in the second half, and the Eagles weren't ready for it. Well, and that's what happens.
Well, I think the best thing is it was a good game. That was a great Super Bowl. It was high scoring. It was back and forth. And, people kept asking me, who you got? I said, well, I got Philly. My heart is with Philly, but I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes because he's one of the best quarterbacks we got. And you just don't bet against a great quarterback because they find a way to win. But I think the fans, for the most part, deserve the overtime game. Because it was 35-35. You don't throw that flag in the game based on that penalty. So I think we should have had an overtime so that we can see who really won that game at the end.
I agree with you, Byron. I totally agree because I was all set for overtime. I'm way out in the south suburbs. I'm like, ooh, I can't leave yet. This is gonna be overtime. Yeah,
I think you said it right. I think it was a coaching blunder near the end of that game. In my opinion, it was once I went back and looked at that game. I know it's Monday morning quarterbacking, but they drove down that field so easy that if they didn't, it really was almost that they was gonna get a field goal or touchdown. And at some point when you had one time out, I thought maybe that's when they should have let them score because it looked like they was gonna score anyway. But I know that's kind of hindsight. And on that play, it should have been more so like, hey, if somebody got you burnt, no pass interference, just let them, because we ain't got no timeouts. Just let them catch it. We got about a minute in a quarter,
but even
because on that play, I want to say when he got the holding penalty, it might have been about a minute 30 seconds left.
I think it was a minute and 39, if I'm not mistaken. It was a minute and 39 seconds. And the thing about it was they called a hold and the pass wasn't even catchable. No, that was another thing. I'm like, that pass wasn't even catchable. Was it a hold? Absolutely. But my thing is there was no consistency as far as I just want consistency when that type of call is made. But to Guy's point, Philadelphia fell flat. Their defense fell flat. I mean, they was up 24-10 at halftime? Yeah. I believe 24-10 at halftime. And their defense just fell flat.
Yeah,
see, and that's why I'm sorry, go ahead. Go.
Oh no, I think they got, relaxed. Oh, we got this game.
But you know what? Yep.
They probably got overconfident. Oh, we're gonna win this game. They thought they had the Super Bowl. But the thing of it is the momentum shifts in football. And the momentum shift with Kansas City, I don't think they knew what to do because for the most part, that's the first time they've been in the big show. Kansas City been there multiple times. They was ready to come back. They was ready to perform when it was time to perform. But I don't think Philadelphia was.
And like Bernard said that night or that next day, Andy Reid just outcoached them in the second half. The Eagles just got outcoached in the second half.
Y'all really did. Y'all call it what you want, but you know what I hate in this day and age? I hate social media, and there's a reason why. It was one of the very first things that non-football people or people that bet lost money. They blamed on Jalen Hurts. I'm like, did you see his stats? Number one. Number two, when my man, the second-year linebacker, when he pushed Mahomes out, they had the cameras out there, and they walking off the field, and his teammate was going off. That didn't need to be seen because what people don't understand, it was just something I learned. I had a psych class in college, and the one thing my psych teacher told me, he said, you know what? Football players, when they're playing in the NFL, the stress level is equivalent to going to war. So you just can't, people just think that like it's like a cartoon. Oh, the game's over. I could be like this. You can't flip that off. That's the highest stage of what you are. And you did everything right. And things just didn't go right at the end and you lose. And then your guy made a blunder. He made a mistake. And his teammate was going off. And he apologized later. But the thing is, if there's no cameras everywhere, now it's compartmentalized and you don't hear that. And people just taking it everywhere. And the bottom line, like I said, the defense went flat. They played not to lose, and the guys lost and dudes were hurt. Why couldn't they just go ahead, just have the locker room, just go to the locker room, do the press conference? Because now you got too many people out here now watching social media, and they get all their intel from social media and not realizing that it's 1,000,000,000% different from your interpretation of what you see with this TikTok BS.
You know, I disagree when people say that fumble actually changed the momentum of the game. I disagree because in reality, the momentum of the game actually swung a little bit when KC missed that field goal.
Absolutely.
When they missed that field goal, they actually went a little stale for a minute. And that's because they would have went up 10-7 when I look back at the game. But they missed the field goal and the offense went stale. So Philly had went up 14-7. Now, I granted they did score on that, but people kept saying they was about to score again. They were not. It was actually 3rd and 6. They were on their own 40. And the reason he fumbled is because he was trying to switch hands because he was about to be sacked. You know, now he could have broke the tackle. We don't know. But he looked like he was about to be sacked and he was trying to switch hands. But you can't say the momentum swung because they went and scored on the next possession, scored again, and they went to halftime being up 24-14. And the KC offense never scored after that fumble until after halftime. So I don't think it affected the momentum of the game. It gave them a score, but it didn't affect the momentum.
But another thing I want to add to that, caveat, is this. You ever notice that people who watch football and don't understand it, if they see a team up 24-10 and they still throwing 40-yard bombs and they run it, oh man, they wrong. They run up the score. The objective is if I'm running something, you got to stop it. So I don't get mad at that stuff. They call it running up the score, but what happens is, why should you get out of your same scheme of what you're doing just because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings? Like I say, for example, I've seen many blowouts. Now I can understand if this team is like the best team to play and this other team is like a Division 6 team and y'all just happen to be on the schedule. I get that. But two relatively evenly matched teams and stuff, when stuff starts going like that, and I see blowouts in games like that, I don't look at it that way. My thing is this, okay, we scoring like that, stop us. But when you don't do the same stuff that got you there, you get the Philadelphia Eagles defense.
The only time you run it up the score, if it's 56-10 in the fourth quarter with a minute and 10 seconds
then
left.
That's
the only time you run up the score.
Yeah,
that's the only time you run up the score. It's right, it's first and 10 on the 20 on your 20 on your opponent's 25. You up 46 points and you throw a bomb. That's running up the score. Ain't no such thing as running up the score. When
but if you up 35-0, you up 35-0 at halftime or something, 35-7 or closer like that. Let me see. Let me think of that team. The Atlanta Falcons. The Houston or was it the Houston Oilers against the Buffalo Bills? Warren Moon that was wearing the Bills out. They up like 35-0 or something like that, and they lost 38-35.
Ain't no such thing.
You're right. If you're in the fourth quarter, you up 56-10. But that's why a lot of teams, when these defenses like teams like that, and this was a close score. They up 24-10. Oh, we got the number one defense. We ain't got a blitz to get to the guy. We could do a 4-man rush. It wasn't working. They kept saying, it's coming, and it never came. And then at the end, now y'all freaking out, man. I done put some blitz packages or something in there, man.
Well, you know what?
Hey, Bird, earlier you said you can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. And the old adage is defense win championship. How does that fit into the conversation now? That you say, we always said that you can't bet against Tom Brady. And now we about to say, we saying, hey, maybe you can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. Does that adage still work? Defense win championships.
I think if you have a great defense, you still need a good quarterback to score, right?
True.
No matter what, you need a good quarterback. I think if you played the game again this Sunday coming up, the Eagles will probably win. I think they understand the importance of playing 4 quarters now and being aggressive. Coaches made mistakes. The players wasn't hungry. But believe me, you get a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, who's a generational talent, who's done things nobody has done in this short of a time span. You can't bet against a guy like that. And that fake ankle injury he had.
He was fading. He had
spring like that, and you running 20, 30 yards. What's up with that?
No, he was hurt. He had some CBD with the THC up in it somewhere because dude was running like Jesse Owens in the same. I'm like, wait a minute, that ain't supposed to happen. No, but they probably had some good stuff on it. But you're absolutely right. But you know what? There's another difference too. Patrick Mahomes has been there, and it's like they see that down. A lot of teams would be really rattled. They like, you know what? Let's just chip away. We're going to do this. And they chipped away in the second half, and it just looked like an entirely different football game in the second half.
But I'll tell you what, Bernard, to piggyback on that, defense does win championships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're talking about the 2022 NFL, where there's some good defenses, but not great defenses.
Right.
The last great defense to beat a good offense was the Giants when they beat Tom Brady and the Patriots when they went undefeated that season. That was a great defense that the Giants had. Right now, these are just good defense. There's no great defenses in the NFL no more because everybody's spending their money on the offensive side of the ball.
Side of the ball, yep.
Mm-hmm.
This is so true, man.
Yeah, good point, Jay. Because a lot of times when you watch defense now, sometimes you wonder the cornerbacks. I mean, do they even know what they're doing at times, right? Because, sometimes you look at them, you're like, are you playing the player? Are you playing the ball? Are you just looking at the quarterback? I mean, you see stuff where, like, the techniques from the D-backs don't look like they used to look. You know, when you mentioned, like, matter of fact, I'm going to say the Baltimore's defense where you had great safety play. You know, it's a bunch of teams where you had great cornerback play, like with the Deion Sanders and stuff like that. But you don't get that a whole lot no more. I mean, what you're really relying on a lot on defense is a awesome pass rush, a 3 technique that could kind of help stop the run and stop the quarterback from stepping up. And you gotta have that prototype kind of like a linebacker, that guy who can run and cover from sideline to sideline.
Yeah, the Tampa 2 tight guy. But you know what? Here's another thing too that kind of disappointed me, man, on defense with the Eagles, man. You show a guy in motion in the slot, and the guy follows him, and he spins around and goes the other way twice, wide open. That I would say, you know what? Unless it's some Mickey Mouse stuff, I'm thinking that y'all playing man. But why is it that you go this way and when he turned that way? They had another one too. I want to say it was Kelsey. One of them caught a ball. He stepped up and then stopped and turned around and pointed at his guy like, you know, and I'm like, it just seemed to me like his head wasn't in it. But that's why you look at the great defenses per man, you could take them and tell them on defense, it's like, okay, you're a defensive tackle. We in this defense, what is your cornerback's assignment? And they can just spit it out just like that, and they know it. And they actually have their backs turned on where everyone is. When you have that disconnect like that, man, you got a guy like Mahomes out there, he going to exploit every time. And like I said, them 2 times, this one thing, fool me once, shame on you.
Shame on me. Right.
They did the same play, but they did it. First time they did the right side, he's wide open. Left side they did. And I'm sitting up here looking like, man.
You know, real quick, guy, they did it more than twice. Twice is just what they scored on it.
What it was, both times they scored, it was wide open.
So basically, real quick, what they actually did, I believe it was Slay. I think that's
you're right. Yep.
So what they started doing was going in motion. He would point at the safety to tell him to tell the guy on the other side that they're going in motion to pick him up. So he would come down and Slay would slide over to double team Kelsey. Right. And they would stop mid-motion and just run right back.
Right back,
And he was not paying attention that he didn't go across the field. And he just kept doing the same thing the whole game.
That's the brain fart heard all around the world. It's real.
Quick question. I don't think, looking at the playoff team, it wasn't a lot of great defenses that made the playoffs.
That's true.
Absolutely, Byron.
And since Philadelphia is supposed to be so great on defense, great defenses don't let you run up and down the field. They stop the run.
Great defense. Their great feet defense had a whole gang of 3 and outs.
Yeah, they couldn't stop the run at all. I mean, what's the guy's name that run for Kansas City?
Which one? Pacheco? Which one? Pacheco? McKinnon?
Of Marion Barber. I mean, not his size, but how he runs. Either him or
with authority. With authority.
And I saw some tape on him. He was, I believe, he was a high school quarterback.
Yeah, he was a high school quarterback, and I think he was a seventh round pick. Seventh round pick out of Rutgers, I believe.
He was probably 6. He probably, well, maybe he was 7 because the Bears could have drafted him and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's amazing, though, man. I just don't see the break. My problem with Philly, not only did they collapse in the second half, with those boo-boos, like you said, they ran the same play a lot of times. Great defenses don't get fooled. They get once. Like, I saw this montage, if you guys ever had a chance to see it on YouTube, where you got Ed Reed and you got, I can't remember his name. He's all of fame, my dude, man.
Ray Lewis,
yeah. And they're at this college, and they're talking about how important it is to read books and look, like talking about you need to be taking notes. They showed a montage where they ran this play, and Ray Lewis kind of committed to it, and they ran a certain way, and he wasn't able to get it. The next time, the exact same play, but they flipped it. But instead of Ray Lewis pursuing the ball, he went and tied up a man on the line so his guy could eat. That's intel. That's guys that want to be great, that they sit up and know the game. When you start seeing these guys it's one thing to make a mistake, but you make a mistake on a number of times, and it's a couple guys.
65-yard punt return.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter.
Triple.
That too.
That was a momentum changer too.
That was a momentum changer too.
That was a
momentum changer too. Yeah, and
right
people don't realize
they kicked the field goal, right? The Eagles kicked the field goal, so they was only up by 3 at that point.
And people don't realize how big special teams is, man. People downplay special teams so much, man. But special teams is huge. In a game like the Super Bowl, special teams is huge, and that play right there, actually, Bernard, before you mentioned, I forgot all about that, because I think at the time when that happened, I was looking at the game like, okay, that's a backbreaker right there. But yeah, special teams is huge in big games like that, man. Special teams are huge.
And when you went that far, you cut the field in half now. So the pressure is on the defense.
You cut the field in half. Now the pressure is on the defense. Now the pressure is on the defense, and Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback.
Yeah. That's the ultimate chess match, man. It was, like I said, it was a great game. Regardless of everything that went on, you get tired of seeing when the Cincinnati game, whatever that stuff, it was a blowout. The Bills game, it was a blowout when they lost or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm eating pizza. I fell asleep with this game. You couldn't take your eyes off the TV unless you've been drinking a lot. It was great, man. It was like it had me on the edge of the seat, man. It was what you wanted, man.
And before we move on to the Justin Field trade rumors, I did want to say I don't watch those commercials. I never watch them. I actually got 1 month was good because it fooled me. I thought I was trying to figure out how somebody in the house turned the TV.
The Tubi, was it Tubi?
It was Tubi commercial. And I was like, man, who turned the TV, right? So I'm looking around. I said, man, I must have sat on the remote control. And the remote control was up further on the couch. And I'm like, so I'm turning the TV, and I'm like, it was already on. And I didn't figure out to the next day that was the commercial.
Yeah.
That was the commercial.
Yeah. I know, right? You know what my favorite commercial was? I'm sorry,
I was gonna say, actually, I didn't recognize I didn't pay attention to not one commercial at all.
Did.
So that commercial that you're talking about, I'm gonna have to go look it up because I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't pay no attention to no commercial.
It started changing like you had to Tubi, right?
Yeah.
And it started like somebody was strolling to change the, looking for a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I thought somebody had
what?
changed the channel
My TV.
Tubi looking for a movie. I didn't know that until the next day on sports radio somebody was talking about they was getting mad at people in the house, and I was like, oh, that's not
Yep.
Go ahead, guy. I'm sorry.
You know what? Now, my favorite commercial was the Bud Light, Miller Lite. They fighting at the whole thing. At the very end, the Blue Moon comes up and says, "You know, this is a Blue Moon commercial." I'm like, that's priceless, man. That is just completely priceless. That's like the ultimate just mic drop, because they spent all this time with these two different beers fighting over who's better. And the beer was it just made themselves the best beer. When they dropped it and said, you know, it's a Blue Moon commercial, I was like, okay. But a lot of commercials they're better because they've been real terrible lately. But no Budweiser commercials, no Pepsi commercials, no Coca-Cola commercials. I guess they just say, hey, man, you know, y'all know who we is. We ain't spending that money.
Hey, we're in a recession.
I know I heard some people at work, they were complaining about the halftime show.
Okay.
I'm like, what? What you complaining? Rihanna, she big time. I know she pregnant. And then you comparing her to Bruno Mars, comparing her to Beyonce. I'm like, I don't watch the Super Bowl for the halftime show.
For the halftime show, right.
I want to see the game. If it's a good game,
did.
I'm happy. I can care less about all the rest of that ancillary
Right,
stuff.
right.
It's hating. It's hating because you know what? I'm not like a big time Rihanna fan or whatever, but you got a pregnant woman suspended like 200-300 feet up in the air on the stage dancing. Even she was a little dancing, coming down, doing all. I'm like, for all y'all that's hating, let's see y'all do it. Y'all afraid of heights. But she's pregnant.
Without a baby in your stomach.
Exactly. And you know what? She's a billionaire. She don't, I mean, it's not, they don't get paid, but she don't need the publicity. She got enough money, but you know what? That's called balling out, man. That's professionalism. I give her all the credit in the world for that.
Yep. Hey, I'd like to thank everybody who's watching us tonight on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch TV. We going over the shows, Super Bowl right now, and we're about to move on to talking about some of the Justin Fields trade rumors. I mean, where we want to start at with that? I mean, I'm hearing a lot about that. A lot of talk about what the Bears should do, etc. Do that make any sense to anybody? I mean,
no, Jay, the last show, Jay mic dropped it. He just straight mic dropped it on it. Go ahead, Jay. I need you to go and do it, man. Just do it.
What are we even talking about?
Exactly. We playing checkers, they playing chess.
What are we even talking about? The people that's talking about this have no clue about what they're talking about. I mean, and even when people say, and Guy, I think I heard you mention this, and you know, people got their opinions, so I really don't say nothing. You know, I hear people say like, well, you know, they got to drum this up so people will be interested in the number one pick. No, they don't. No, they don't. Guess what? If they're interested in the number one pick, they gonna trade for the number one pick. But as far as the Bears drafting a quarterback, you know, I hear people talking about, well, they can start all over, and whoever they draft will be on the rookies. Look, man, let me tell you something. I can even see 20%, maybe 15%, if that was true. But it's not. It's not. There is no reason why this should even be a conversation. No reason why. I just don't get it. But, you know, people need something to talk about, so that's what they're going to do.
Hey, what you think, Byron? You think it got any validity to it, Byron, or people just talking?
Let me tell you, this ain't nothing but a diversion. They want everybody to think the Bears want to draft a quarterback. Anywhere in the world, they're going to draft a quarterback. If he drafts a quarterback and gets rid of Justin Fields, and that replacement quarterback he drafted is not as good or better than Justin Fields, he's going down in infamy in Bears history. But for the most part, we don't know how Justin Fields is going to be yet until he gets a decent offensive line and some good receivers. We don't know how great. We know he's athletic, but you don't know. He still has to prove he's got the quarterback skills as far as passing is concerned. In addition to that, Getty may be gone. So you draft a new quarterback. He's starting all over with a new. He getting the offer. When he get a head coach opportunity, he's probably leaving. So here you will have another rookie quarterback without an offensive coordinator or switching offensive coordinators within the next 2 years. So I don't see them trading Justin Fields and picking a quarterback, because I don't think any of those quarterbacks are as good as Justin Fields is right now.
Because real quick, I'm sorry, guy. Real quick. I just want to say this because okay, people talk about they gonna trade Justin Fields and draft a quarterback. Okay, so you do that, and the quarterback that you draft is gonna have to come in and learn a new offense. Still, so what you gonna do? Surround him with weapons all of a sudden? Come on, man. It makes no sense. It just makes no sense at all. I just want Ryan Poles to do what he needs to do to surround Justin Fields with what he needs to have and watch him succeed.
Oh no, it makes all the sense in the world because if it's on the internet, it's true. That's the problem. This is, you know what, and it's not bagging on people in the general, but this is just common sense. Back when we were out, when we were shorties and we heard certain things, not just sports, but life in general, what was the very first thing we did? We just stuck our head in the book or we researched it ourselves, and then we made a general analogy of it in our own minds. Man, if you put some stuff on TikTok, I just seen stuff. Man, if you take this cyanide and you put it on a pimple, it's going to erase your pimple and your cousins. No, it's not. It's going to put you in the cemetery, and the other people that get there, they're going to be with y'all. Y'all going to be stacked on top of each other at the funeral. The point is this. Entertainment is key nowadays. People want to be entertained. They put this stuff on Facebook, TikTok, and even all these players that come out here talk about, yeah, they're going to trade Justin Fields. They don't even believe it. They doing it because, one, they're getting a paycheck, and number two, if they say what everybody else is going to say, they're going to be boring. You know, they just need entertainment. Like you say, you get a guy who's a generational talent. He's learned the offense now. All he needs is an offensive line. So you tell me you go get some hotshot quarterback from college and put him in a situation that Justin Fields was in the last couple years with no offensive line, and then one of them having an inept guy at running plays. So basically what it is you go draft a quarterback just so you could kill him, or you go trade him. And I think the other reason why everybody's doing the trades is because they want him. But you can't have him.
I don't think the discussion make any sense on the way people are explaining it. It makes it even more idiotic to me. Like to reset the rookie quarterback contract by that makes no sense because it's not about his contract. If he plays well and he deserves a new contract, you give him a new contract. Why would you trade him just so you could bring in a rookie? I heard this argument on national TV. So that way you could get a rookie quarterback and you could reset the contract for the next at least for 4 years.
4 years with the fifth year option.
With the fifth year option. Okay. But you're gonna set your whole offense back and the whole team back just to do that. And then also I don't understand how you think the trade value stays the same. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna give up, but I know some speculation is maybe you get 4 picks in this for this draft pick. We don't know, but if they get 4. But if you trade Justin Fields, I don't see how you still gonna get 4, because if you're trying to trade him, to me, it would look like to the other teams you're trying to get rid of him, so you just don't want him on your hands. So I'm not giving you a lot, because do you want to be caught in a situation like Green Bay with 2 quarterbacks, like Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love? So I would call your bluff on that. So I don't see how that makes sense.
I think that the best thing the Bears could do is leak news to the media that they're willing to draft a quarterback, because it's a chess game. There's only 2 or 3 good quarterbacks to draft in the top 5 picks. So if everybody else thinks that the Bears are going to draft a quarterback, they creating a bidding war. Right?
Yeah, but you know what? And here's the thing too. Here's another thing. Like they always tell you when you go into draft, you want to get the best available players. The Bears are drafting stars. That first pick they got, this dude they bring him in to start. So I got a feeling it's going to be the defensive guys, and they're going to probably go through the free agency to get some studs like offensive linemen and stuff like that. The guys that they get, if they're really good guys, They're gonna do just like they did this year, like what Poles did, which was great. They put everybody in there, say, you know what, it's a blank slate. If you're a rookie, you better than dudes, you're gonna start, and it gives you some initiative. But I don't think the Bears go. I'd be shocked if they draft a quarterback. They probably draft me in the 7th round because I'm great at holding the clipboard. I'm great at saying yeah, because that 6-figure check to just basically put a uniform on for 18 weeks and not play.
Now, I'm actually all for the Bears drafting a quarterback in the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
You got Nate. Not Trevor Siemian is the backup. You know, so I would love to draft someone to play. To be a rookie. So you know, eventually he can wind up being Justin Fields' backup. I'm all for that.
Yeah,
but for the sake, I'm hoping. And I don't know if I'm getting off subject, but we talking about trading Justin Fields. I'm just hoping that the Bears parlay this 1st round pick into 2 picks in the first 10.
Right. Because
I'm all for that, because I'm telling y'all, and I said it on the last show, to me, it's essential and it's crucial for the Bears to spend their free agency money, defensive line, offensive line. Because if we solidify 3 technique in free agency, that means we can trade. That means we can trade down again. That means we ain't got to get Jalen Carter. If we solidify a pass rusher in free agency, that means we don't have to get Will Anderson. Now we're talking about what's the best wide receiver we can get. What's the best offensive tackle we can get? Can we parlay these picks to get a center to replace Lucas Patrick or Sam Mustipher? That's what I'm looking at. When you got money to spend in free agency, you got young free agents out here that you can build your team around. If y'all haven't looked at the free agent list, you got guys in here like on 3 or 4 or 5 years. They 24, 25 years old.
Young.
The Bears got money to spend. I'm not saying just throw money at anybody, but they got money to spend to build a team defensively and offensively on the line respectively to where they could domino these picks into playmakers. Y'all know I'm an offensive guy, so that's all I'm looking. I'm looking for playmakers. I need Justin Fields to have some playmakers.
You know what I would do though? I would trade Sam Mustipher and a Snickers for a Juicy Juice. That's fair.
He's an unrestricted free agent, I believe.
No, he an X-rated free agent. He ain't restricted. He's straight up rated X, like X player.
Because I was reading an article today where they was talking about who the Bears can cut to save money, and he's talking about these post-June cuts and these unrestricted free agent, these people that are under contract. And the Bears can make some cuts and parlay this $90 million that they got into like $118 million before free agency even start. Because you got guys like Cody Whitehair. God bless him, love him. Warrior did his thing. Getting a little longer in the tooth, can't stay healthy. That contract, we cut him. That's money going back to the books. If you're going to rebuild it and do it, you got to do it right. You got to do it right. We have no love. We have no love for this last regime's players. Outside of Justin Fields, we have no love for none of them. None of them.
Yeah, we won't know how great Justin Fields could be until they build up the offensive line and get him a true number 1 receiver.
That's
all
true.
he's doing is running right now, and he may keep running until you get him some blocking and get him a good receiver. They got to go on.
Like Steve Young, because Steve Young really wasn't a running quarterback. He had to, and he was an accurate dude. And actually, his quarterback rating is actually higher than Joe Montana. My opinion, he was a better quarterback than Joe Montana was. He was more efficient than Joe Montana, and he had legs. Joe Montana was just Joe Cool, and he did his thing. But with Justin Fields is a straight-up passing quarterback. He shouldn't have to run for 1,000 yards. The way that their offense is tailored, and if they got the offensive line, or better yet, If we had the offensive line that Patrick Mahomes had, man, Justin Fields could sit back there on a skateboard and order like Uber Eats and get whoever he want. I'm talking about with that accuracy, he hit Mooney up in the concession stand. But we just, like you say, we got to get that offensive line, and we won't really know how great he's going to be until he knows he's got protection. Ain't going to be on his back all like 60 sometimes, 50 sometimes.
Yeah, I saw. I saw some real good throws as the season went on. And more so happened from that Patriot game up until maybe somewhere they kind of went cold the last 2 games he played, but I saw some great throws. One of them was that stands out all season. I want to say, was it to Mooney or Montgomery, Jay, where Fields was rolling out and he pointed and told one of them to go.
That was Mooney. That was Mooney. Yeah, that was Mooney.
That was an excellent throw on the run and directing the traffic. And what I did see with Justin Fields as the season went on, he seemed to know a little bit more what the defense was doing, because early on I was a little worried because I thought he was not reading the defense. I kind of thought he was just coming up there running the play, and they didn't know. And when the guys still learning, they don't know a lot. You don't do a lot of motion or anything because you're not trying to confuse the quarterback. And also we got to remember too, everybody was learning at the same time, and you're learning with a lot of guys that, especially at the receiving quarter, than Mooney before they got Claypool, that probably should even been starting. They wouldn't have been starting on anybody else's team.
Right.
It was a learning curve for everybody, but I felt positive. There was some more games where I was like, that was a heck of a throw. That was a great read. And if he gets some protection and the number one, like y'all mentioned, I'm not projecting no playoff or Super Bowl because the Bears need to build it right. The Bears cannot fall to the pressure of the fans who like being mediocre. See, the fan base at the most power, they really would have been happy with eight wins, 9 losses.
Right.
Because it's more entertaining to watch. But the problem is you can't fix your team that way. You can't fix a bad team by staying in the middle. You might as well, if you're bad, you might as well just bottom out.
You're right.
And see some contracts, start young. I mean, a good example, if you look at that San Francisco team, I mean, almost all those guys been drafted just about in the last 5 years that started,
You know what else, too, B? I think Bears fans will be happier knowing every year they can go in and ask themselves how far we're going to go in the playoffs, as opposed to, we got to have a great team right now, because we've seen it with our Chicago teams. And it's like we kind of got spoiled with the Bulls when they were winning every year. It's entertaining and you expect it. You know what I'm saying? And when they get bad, it's one thing, but I don't believe in let's get great right now. Let these guys grow and let them go ahead. If their numbers are great, if the wins come, fine, but it's more of a teaching moment. But another thing I want to piggyback on, something that Dan Orlovsky said about Justin Fields last year. They were talking about, he doesn't know how to read defense. He doesn't do it. He said, yeah, he does, because when he's at Ohio State, they threw every type of exotic defense it was. But the difference being, just like we've always talked about, people don't understand the leap that you make when you go from a top Division I team to a bad NFL team. That bad NFL team will beat the brakes off Ohio State. Now you got, like in Ohio State, you might have maybe 1 or 2 good cornerbacks or whatever it is, maybe a lights out defender, something like that, maybe 1 or 2 studs. You got guys on bad NFL teams that were the man on ranked NFL teams. So everything is much faster. His processing speed has sped up because you see the intent that he has. He knows where it is and what is going. It's just guys were moving too fast. Now it seems like everything's slowing down. He doesn't seem like, see the interceptions that he gets now, they aren't as blatant like where it looked like he's throwing right at somebody, but I'm excited. I would really like to see us progress at a level to where it's feasible, to where we could go in every year and sit up and talk about how far we're going to go in the playoffs. Okay. I'm ready for it, man.
And I figure that won't be until 2024 because you have so much to put together. It's going to take them some off seasons and a year to at least gel. Right. So I'm looking for I'm looking for a leap in 2023. And then in 2024, that's when I'm going to be expecting, like, okay, if polls do this right, we should be kind of in the thick of things. Because, you know, even in our division, we don't know what the situation is with Aaron Rodgers and him and his in the hole. He in a hole somewhere in the darkness. Kirk Cousins, he's Kirk Cousins. He is what he is. And then, you know, you got Jared Goff
David
down
Carr. You got David Carr up there too.
So it's gonna be interesting. I just want to see some progress, and I want to see a big leap. But that big leap can only come if the Bears and Brian Poles do this the right way in 2023, and then in 2024. Now we looking like, okay, this is where it can get good. Not Jalen, but Justin take the leap in 2023 with the weapons around him in 2024, and now they've all been together for a year. This is when you want to see, okay, it's time to make the playoffs now, but it's got to be built the right way. It's got to be built the right way.
It's two things that alarm me though about Justin Fields. One, I don't think he ever threw for 300 yards and not in one game. And two, I don't think he's ever led a game-winning drive to win the game. I don't think he's ever done that. And I don't care how bad your team is. Great quarterbacks can do those two things.
But another thing, but you know what, Big Gov, something I said last year, which is interesting. I got some people kind of get on me until they saw it this year. I was talking about offensive line, like not this past season, but the season before last. I was talking about the offensive line. I said, you put Tom Brady on that offensive line, he'd suck too. Oh, no, it's Tom Brady. He had a better offensive line this year. What happened? You got a bad offensive line. It's stuff that you were able to kind of have a liberty of and having the convenience of. You don't have it no more, and then it don't hurt that you got receivers dropping balls. And that's another thing with Justin Fields. It was so many drops the guys had, and it wasn't like these drops where it was a spectacular drops. It's like right there drops. So
and it's almost like, it's almost like every time he was on a game when the drive beat up, something happened. Something happened. Like for instance, against the Vikings,
number 67,
against the Vikings. Against the Vikings, Marset, they driving down the field. They driving down the field. He hit Marset. And he let him take the ball from. Like, we don't know what could have been,
right?
Because something always happened, and you just be like, I believe they was driving down the field one time and somebody fumbled, and they wind up getting. It's something always happened. But you're right. He has never a game winning drive. He doesn't have. And no 300-yard game. I'm not counting. I'm not counting that year. I'm not even counting that year. I'm not counting that year. But you're right. That's something that he hasn't had. But at the same time, is how many yards did Jalen Hurts pass for against the 49ers in the NFC Championship game? 300-yard passes don't mean that you win a game, and that's how I look at it. You know, that's how I look at it. People
140, 170.
People like, well, he ain't had a 300-yard game. Yeah, but did they win or did they lose?
Yeah.
I don't care about a 300-yard game. It's impressive. It's impressive. It looks good on the stat sheet. But
Mahomes said what, 140 or 170 something?
Right. That's individual accolade stuff. And to me, that type of stuff don't matter. That type of stuff
don't matter. But you do have a point, though. I understand where you're coming from, though, Big Dog.
To do it. Not that you have to do it every week, but you have to have the potential to do it when you have to win.
And I think if you have the weapons, you have the potential. I mean, look at the Bears wide receivers this year, man. They was almost just as bad as when they had remember Marcus Wheaton, and it was Marcus Wheaton and Josh Bellamy. Come on, this was just as bad.
Yeah.
If you looked at the Bears wide receiver stats, which I just looked at yesterday because this article I was reading, Byron Pringle made $4 million. He made 6 catches for 126 yards. 6 catches all season. Come on, man.
Hey, Jay, you're so right. Byron, that's a valid point on the drive game-winning drives, right? That's the difference between average quarterbacks and great quarterbacks sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Can you pull out those grades? So that's where we're gonna look for the growth at. You know, can you win those games in those moments, right? Because those become the defining moments. But Jay is so right. It was like a domino effect starting from the guy Smith. What is his name? Smith. What was his name?
Smith-Marsette.
Smith-Marsette. It was really like, dude, run out of bounds. It's not that much time. He gonna try to run for some extra yards, and they just take the ball from him. And you go to the Washington game, it's like, oh, Mooney, if you would have just caught the ball clean, right, you would have fell in the end zone. But he double clutched the ball, and he ended up. I mean, how do you lose like that, where he ends up being on the 1 yard line with no seconds left? Last of the game. I mean, you had so many of those type. You had the Claypool throw where the guy pretty much, molested him. I think it was Detroit, and he pulled them about 2 or 3 yards back, and they didn't call pass interference on that play.
How about 12 dog fumbling right on the sideline? The ball just bounced up in the air and landed this far from out of bounds, and they picked it up. I'm like, good grief. It's like, wow. We couldn't catch a break, man, but that's just how it goes, man. But then, too, hopefully guys who are really in it to win it and they really want to be great, they'll remember those times. And if they're there, they'll make them better.
And I just want to read some stats. Dante Pettis, for instance. 41 targets, 19 receptions, 245 yards receiving, and 3 touchdowns. That was your number 2 wide receiver. 41 targets, 19 receptions, 245 yards. Some wide receivers had that in 2 weeks.
Man, who you talking?
He had that in a season. Our top pass catcher was a tight end, and he was just over 500 yards.
That's crazy, man.
We had nobody to even have 700 receiving yards on this team. Cole Kmet I think he was at like 515. He had the highest yardage of the season, and that's not saying a lot. So I need to see more weapons before I can judge what type of quarterback Justin Fields is.
Yeah,
because I seen him throw. I seen him throw for 6 touchdowns in a bowl game with broke ribs. I seen that. So I need to see him in the NFL with some protection and some weapons around him before I say this ain't the guy. Because I know he is. I
think he is too, man. I just like I said, man, I hope that they build with the contingency plan of making themselves great. And the other thing about the whole punt is they'll say, well, what makes the Bears different? Look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati, honestly, is just like, it's like a lucky thing where you go real bad next 1 year and go there. That doesn't happen. You look at the history of the NFL, that hardly ever happens. Most teams that are really good, like I'll give you a perfect case in point. Go back to my marker point when I started talking about stats. Remember when Troy Aikman came to the Dallas Cowboys? They were worse than the Bears this year. And within about 4 years, they go into the Super Bowl and they won 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken, because they started putting pieces together. You had a nucleus of guys that stayed, and these guys were consistent, and they had this whole mindset of we want to get better. The coaches understood how to get guys free, run schemes to make them successful, not try to do no okey doke stuff. Keep pounding the same play until you can stop that one. Then you look like 4 years later, they winning Super Bowls, man. Why can't we have that?
They got a lot of Hall of Famers on that team, though.
Yeah, they do.
Absolutely.
They do.
They got a great receiver, great running back, great quarterback.
But you know what?
They still haven't fixed their offensive line. That's their problem.
The offensive line
they got sacked a lot this year, and they got sacked a lot in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah. But Big Dub, the thing about that Cowboys team was, guess what? It's like you talked about. They had a whole lot of Hall of Famers. They was all drafted too. Them wasn't no fill-in. That wasn't no fill-in stuff.
Nate Newton.
That wasn't no fill-in stuff. Those were draft picks. Yeah, those were draft picks.
Well, historically, the Bears are bad at that. Especially
unfortunately.
Yeah, but maybe this Tevin Jenkins might be the one nucleus to start something great. Because man, that dude, that was luck. But like when he came in and I saw his footage, and I'm like, this guy's got the potential to be great. And to be quite frank with you, he's got to be at least top 3 out of all our best players all year.
With a bad back.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I know if they cut Lucas Patrick right now and post June cut Cody Whitehair, that's $15 million extra on the salary cap.
Man.
You gotta break it down to rebuild it. But it's a lot of free agents, and I know we running short on time. But our next show, I really want to talk about the potential of the free agents with the combine coming up too. But I looked at that list of free agents today, and the names might not be big, but if you know football and if you know, like, oh, you know what, this person can fill in for this person. For thinking about the money that we have to spend, it's some pieces out there that can make this team a lot better.
Some of those players going back to their same team, right?
Well, some of them maybe, but not all of them. Because guess what? A lot of these teams that's been in the playoffs and all that, like Philadelphia got problems coming up because they up against the salary cap. You know, see, this is what happened. By the Bears, this is the first time in NFL history that you got the number 1 pick and the most money to spend in free agency. The Bears are in a real rare stratosphere right now, and they can really do some things with the money that they have. And a lot of these teams can't afford to bring these players back because they in salary cap purgatory. So,
hey, Jay, this is why really you have to. I give Poles credit for what he did in the offseason because he had to make some tough decisions. Because
yes, he did.
Yeah, he had to actually let go some players or trade players to get them off.
Get them off the books. Get them off the books
for this season, 2023. Right? You took the hit for him in 2022. And that's one of the hard parts when you make a decision like that, because fans do have fan favorites and people identify with it. But a general manager has to know when he can't win with those players, and he has to know when the guy has gotten too old. And he still may be good. So it's not if he goes to this team, in my opinion, that they may not have a good season. That's not the issue. The issue is if it's going to take us 2 to 3 years to get good, will he be the same player?
Will he be the same
player in 2 or 3 years? If he cannot contribute to us when we're good,
I don't need it.
The growth of somebody who could have replaced him that could have got 2 or 3 years experience.
Absolutely.
That's true, man.
It's a very tough decision.
Well, you know why they got all that money, Bernard? Bad drafting. Because if you drafted good,
not only
but your own players and keep
but not only
a lot of them were overpaid free agents that they let go.
That's it right there. But see, what happened was Ryan Pace thought he was the smartest person in the room, and I trust me, I don't knock him for doing what he did when he traded for Khalil Mack. I thought it was spot on because their whole thing was like, we just drafted a quarterback. We got this rookie window with the quarterback because we ain't got to pay him. He on a rookie deal. We got this championship caliber defense. All we need is Khalil Mack. And it worked. But the quarterback wasn't good. It worked. But the quarterback wasn't good. I mean, that 2018 and 2019 season, the defense was lights out, but we couldn't score no points. And it didn't help that our play caller was pretty bad too. Yeah. So I mean, you know, and everybody talking about, I know we get off, but everybody talking about Matt Nagy gonna get it. No, he not. Matt Nagy ain't nobody hiring Matt Nagy as their head coach. I'm telling y'all.
Do I have to bring this back again?
I thought about what you was talking. I thought about what you was talking about, giving up. Like he gave up picks for Khalil Mack, and I was they were talking about the Jay Cutler trade, and I thought about that. I said, man, you know what? How many years have we been giving up a bunch of picks for a quarterback because we had drafted the wrong quarterback, right? why did you give up picks for the Jay Cutler trade? Because you had mistakenly drafted Rex Grossman.
Yep.
Right? Before that, you draft the dude that was supposed to have been the most NFL ready. I can't remember the guy's name. Early 2000s. But
Cade McNow.
Cade McNow.
Was it Cade McNow?
It's Cade McNow.
Cade McLater.
Quarterback wrong. Then you got it wrong again with Rex Grossman. And because you got it wrong with Rex, now you're giving up a bunch of picks to get Jay Cutler.
You mean sexy Rexy?
Yeah, then you don't have you're the same scenario. No offense.
Hey, but why y'all playing? Hey, but why y'all playing though? Rex Grossman did take the pass to the Super Bowl. I can't say that.
Hey, you know what?
I'm gonna tell you.
He has a high winning percentage out of all the quarterbacks too, and I hate to say that because it hurts my feelings.
Because I'm gonna tell you that year, that September, they was talking about Rex Grossman was gonna be the MVP of the league. Rex Grossman sold out the beginning of that year. Then he got hurt, and then you know it kind of. But he did take the pass to the playoff. I mean to the Super Bowl. He did.
Has the worst quarterback rating in Super Bowl history.
Oh, of course he does. As bad as he played, of course he does.
But his record was great because the defense was excellent, but MVP was most varied. Hey, they about to go out and do their thing. See, I told you. 3 Qs, a segment, a guy named Guy.
If we had an average quarterback, we would have won the Super Bowl.
That's right about that.
Yeah, I agree.
Very pitiful was the MVP for
But
him.
anyway, rolling it forward, you end up doing the same thing, right? So you end up going into 2016 and saying at the 2017, now we're going to draft the quarterback, which puts you right back in that same spot again in the 2021 draft, right? Where you gave up, fourth picks and I think a trade to get Justin Fields because why? You had drafted
the
quarterback again, right? But you got to play before we wrap it up.
Hey, I'm just glad to join. I saw B-Dub on. I saw y'all was still on. So I'm excited to always talk about the Bears like anything else. So I'm just participating. That's about it.
Glad you're here, brother.
Hey, Jay, real quick before
always good to see you, man.
Wrap up, close out. Was we talked about, you had mentioned something about some of the picks and stuff and some of the trade scenarios. Some of the trade scenarios, I wonder, do people think that the other teams are complete idiots, right?
Is Matt Nagy part of the front office? You might be able to get a deal.
Now, some of the teams are complete idiots, but some of the stuff it's like, dude, I wouldn't even do that, right? I mean, I think like something like I wouldn't do it, but also just his last point on this, Jay. Mel Kiper said what you said, Jay. He said his his first quarterback off the board is who? Will Levis.
I told y'all. Before it's all over, Will Levis gonna be the top quarterback. I told y'all, top quarterback over off the board. The underwear Olympics is gonna happen in about 10 days, and I'm telling y'all, Will Levis is gonna elevate to the #1 quarterback in this draft, just like Mitch Trubisky did in 2017. I'm telling y'all, y'all heard it here. Y'all heard it before Mel Kiper said it. I'm telling y'all, Will Levis is going to be the top-rated quarterback in the 2023 draft, and I think it's a darn shame.
That train's never late.
Y'all, you gonna hear him up at the stadium in about 3 years talking about some beer, cold beer, cold beer. Yes,
I'm telling y'all, man. I'm telling y'all, it happens every year, and I'm telling y'all, Will Levis is gonna be when the rankings come out. It's gonna be Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, and the kid from UCLA. That's how it's gonna fall. I'm telling you.
There's a kid from Florida that's decent too. So
I can't call his name right now. He's probably gonna be wind up either 4 or 5 under the guy from if I got it right, I think it's USC. Anthony. Okay. I can't call his name right now. Anthony somebody. Say it again. Anthony Richardson. Thank you, B-Dub. Anthony Richardson. Yeah. So those are going to be the top 5.
What you got,
B-Dub? I'm sorry, Bernard. As far as those draft scenarios, talking about the Bears trading at number 1 for a number 2, possibly to Houston, and then also trading back again. That can actually happen, partly because you've got 2 teams in the same division that are both in need of a quarterback. And part of what happened was, losing when Tom Brady retired, not knowing what they're going to do with Aaron Rodgers, as well as Derek Carr. The quarterback situation is all in flux, so you can't be able to anticipate what's going to actually happen with these drafts, especially since the Bears are in a position where they don't actually need a quarterback. So this could get pretty interesting. I'm looking at some of these mock drafts, and some of them aren't that far-fetched if you really think about it.
And not to mention, they talk about Lamar Jackson now. That might wind up, moving on. It's going to be a whole lot.
He's not. He's restricted.
No, he's a UFA. If I'm not mistaken,
whoever he signed with, the thing is, will Baltimore come up off that money and match him though?
So they can always use the franchise tag, but the quarterback thing is going to get, like Keith said, it's going to get real interesting because you got a whole lot of moving parts right now that could be, Aaron Rodgers, might wind up. You got Jimmy Garoppolo out here, so
David Carr.
It's going to be stuff. Derek Carr.
I think the more quarterbacks that become part of the pool, right, where you start talking about Rodgers and David Carr's about to be out there, and not sure what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson. I'm assuming they're going to franchise tag him. But if people like Will Levis actually rise up in the pool, it actually does change the complexity of the number of picks that people think they're going to get. Because if you start having 7 to 8 quarterbacks that can affect the team, right, when you're talking about the free agents or people wanting to trade, then you won't be able to get 4 or 5 because it's too many quarterbacks. But I think that Will Levis thing is something to watch because I do think that what you see happening right now is, I always say the scout combine is a way to devalue the top picks, and you start ripping them apart and you start trying to make people think what you saw don't believe. And they start talking about these athletic guys who didn't do anything, and you start saying, man, this guy is great. And then you'll see guys dropping. You'll be like, how is he dropping?
My high school coach
campaign to convince everybody that Braxton is it's Braxton. No, not Braxton. What's his name? I'm brain dead. But anyway, that he's too small, right? So that's the campaign.
Shit, Bryce. I forgot it. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Bryce. Bryce Young.
Right. So the campaign now is to convince everybody he's too small, right? So once you convince him too small, then you'll say Stroud is not quite there. So Will Levis is the guy as far as the number 1 quarterback. That's how it's going to be.
But I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all keep y'all eye on the Panthers though, because the Panthers want C.J. Stroud, and I think they drafted at number 7 or number 9. But the Panthers want C.J. Stroud. The Raiders are 7.
Yeah, the
Raiders are 7. Okay, I think the Panthers are at 9. But the Panthers want C.J. Stroud because I forgot who their offensive coordinator is that they just hired. But he's high on C.J. Stroud. So that's a team to look out for that might be trying to flip a pick. So
what if Houston and Indianapolis want the same quarterback? If it's like that's where it can come in.
That's where it gets interesting. Exactly.
But now I think the teams that want a middle-aged, overpaid quarterback are different from the teams that want a young quarterback that they can get a rookie deal with and build a team around. So you got 2 separate type of teams looking for quarterbacks. So it's still working in our favor because there's a quarterback that some team must have. There's a must have, and then I'll take it because that's all I can pick out the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks.
And that's
Because you got a team. Because you got a team.
Trubisky.
Right, because you got a team like the Saints. Are the Saints trying to draft a rookie? Are they trying to start over? You know, you got some teams that like, okay, I'll sign a veteran. Look at the Jets. The Jets had the best draft out of everybody last year. They put around a whole. They put some offensive skill players on the field. They just don't have a quarterback. So now they're looking at like, okay, can we get a Derek Carr? Can we get a Aaron Rodgers? Can we get a Jimmy Garoppolo to put in here and make this team better? So it's a lot of moving parts.
You know, one of the things that's going to happen is a lot of these defensive players you're going to start seeing them fall as soon as the draft happens. So Carter, fall as well as Anderson. So a lot of these players are going to get picked up that you didn't expect to fall that far back. And one of the guys that I'm looking at is Smith out of Minnesota. He's the center. This dude is from Homewood, Flossmoor. Let me tell you something. This dude is a dog. I'm looking forward to getting that guy playing center for the Bears because he'll stop a whole lot of this silliness. So,
and guess what? He will start as soon as he gets. I think he'll start.
Well, Bernard, not Bernard, Keith, like I said before you came on.
You called it on the local guys. You called it on Sanborn. You called it, and I remember it was a couple of people chuckling when you were saying that, and you was like Sanborn and who? Look, he ended up starting.
And it ain't funny no more, is it?
Games. But I remember when you the first one said it.
Yeah, it was.
The free agent, you said this guy's hungry.
Tackling machine.
Yeah.
And brilliant as far as understanding the game. You know, because we were talking about
and his leg is healed as well. I saw him in the mall the other day. He walking around with no limp or whatever. He gonna be ready to go next year.
Hit the subscribe button if you're out there watching Bears Banner on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch TV. Please subscribe to Bears Banner. Hey, y'all got any closing remarks before we close out tonight?
I cannot wait for the comeback. Y'all know me. Y'all know I can't wait. I cannot wait for the comeback. I cannot wait for the comeback. I'm looking forward to it.
And it's so.
Combine all together. It doesn't make sense that you have a quarterback throwing to his favorite receivers with no defense out there, and you get excited.
Ooh,
How can you not make every throw? How can every quarterback not make every throw at this level? It doesn't.
And I got another caveat for you. It was one quarterback that went to the combines and didn't look that great. And guess what his name is? The GOAT.
Yep.
198 players selected before him.
And he's the greatest of them all.
Funny how that happens. I
got YouTube TV and another thing.
No problem. I'm calling it right now, Bernard. So the Bears gonna trade the number 1 pick for Matt Nagy and Patrick Holmes. Okay, we're gonna get a new head coach and Patrick Mahomes for the number 1 pick.
Hey, be done real quick. Last year, I was telling Nagy. I was telling last year Nagy was so bad. What they do, like that kid, that 3-year-old, you playing the game. And he just want to play. You just give him the remote control. Don't work. That was Nagy. So they get Nagy. That's what they gonna do with him. They bring him back, and this is all he gonna do.
No, I got a whole Anthony Thomas jersey, rookie of the year for the Bears that I can't wear no more. So I'm hoping we, Phil stay good and great for a long time.
I know, right? Right?
Hey, Trent. Hey, thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Peace.
Peace.